Before we start the video, just to let you know that I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not qualified to advise you in any shape or form or any suggestions whatsoever in the area of finances or investment. Hi everyone. Some weeks ago, while I was praying, I saw a vision of a penny farthing, and the prayer was about XRP. I was praying about XRP. And so the Lord gave me that vision. And He also gave me a vision or a revelation of pool and network. And I was told in a vision that XRP would need to function in such an environment for going forward. And people who delayed, I understood that you can't delay doing that, basically. You will benefit if you start doing that now than later on. I didn't really I didn't have a full understanding of the penny farthing bicycle at the time, but now I do. And that's what I want to share with you in this video, to do with DeFi and pooling, and what the Lord is saying to you and I, basically, about DeFi and XRP, and the build we're supposed to be building now, and also speed. If you remember, the Lord told me um, that He is sending speed. He said, I am now sending speed. So basically, I'll just start off by saying that when I made a live stream video on this revelation and this vision, somebody had mentioned flywheel, but I didn't really understand it. I had never, I don't know what that, I didn't know what that word meant. But today I want to quickly say thank you to the person who said that word, because indeed, when you look at the flywheel in regards to crypto, it's very, very similar to the penny farthing bicycle that the Lord showed me in the way of its operation and what have you. Basically, in crypto, the term flywheel describes a self-sustaining positive feedback loop designed to generate and accelerate growth, momentum, and value within an ecosystem or strategy. So it's an adaptation of a business concept where initial effort builds momentum, leading to significant sustained results. So there's a similarity between a flywheel and a penny farthing bicycle, in this sense, where initial input, that's a small effort, creates a disproportionately large outcome, the huge momentum due to the system's design. So the analogy, we can look at it this way. The small wheel, and I've got some diagrams that with labels in the diagrams. The small wheel, that's the initial input, as we said. The small rear wheel is necessary for stability, but it's the large front wheel that dictates the speed. And I don't know if you guys know, but the people who invented this penny farthing bicycle actually invented it to because they wanted to invent a bicycle that would move much faster than a regular bicycle. That's why that bike was invented in the first place. So in a crypto flywheel, the initial hard work and deliberate actions like securing early investors, building a dedicated developer community, or offering token incentives can be seen as the small wheel necessary components that provide foundational support and the initial push. But in a minute, we're going to look at it as something more relevant to us as a personal DeFi. We're going to look at it from a personal DeFi strategy. So you have the large wheel, the accelerating growth. The large front wheel is a direct drive system, meaning one rotation of the pedal results in the bicycle traveling a significant distance. Again, you've got that speed. In a crypto project, the large wheel is the self-sustaining positive feedback loop. We've talked about this, and as I mentioned this in the intro. The initial inputs build on each other, creating network effects that accelerate the project's growth disproportionately to the to the initial effort. Just as a bigger wheel travels further per pedal rotation. So now you have speed, the value generation. The penny farthing was designed for speed, like I said. I Googled this, and yeah, it was designed for speed, achieving higher speeds than earlier bikes with the same pedaling cadence because of its large wheel. Um, Similarly, a successful crypto flywheel can generate value and adaptation at a much faster accelerating rate than traditional models. Once a sufficient momentum is built. And if you guys remember in the video I made recently, just last week, I was emphasizing that we are to build between now and the end of the year. So we are called to be building, to be builders. So now, again, I've got these diagrams here. So let's just go through the diagrams that I've got here. This time, looking at it more personal, from a more personal, you investing, you getting into your DeFi and understanding what you're doing with your XRP within your DeFi, etc., etc. Knowing the knowledge that we understood, I think 3 years ago now, was when I made a video about saying that you don't want to be selling your XRP, was what the Lord was showing me, and we were looking at bank, what it was, you become your own institution, you become your own bank, etc., etc. So now we're entering into that place where it's all becoming real now. Yeah. So bringing it more personal, those who begin early, even with a small amount, will build momentum that others will not be able to catch up to. Hence, in my vision, the Lord was saying that it needs to be done now, not later on. And I got the understanding that those who do it later will miss out. So it's just like the penny farthing. The kingdom principle was hidden inside this picture that the Lord showed me, basically. The starting capital, and that would be the small wheel. The small wheel represents your first step of obedience, your initial capital. It's not large, it's not necessarily large, and it may not necessarily be impressive, but it's what gets the entire system moving. In DeFi, this is the small deposit, the seed. The big wheel, that's the compounding engine. So now we're looking at the large wheel. I've just, what I talked about earlier about the small thing. Well, that's the small wheel of the penny farthing bicycle. But now the big wheel part of this bike is the compounding engine. So that huge front wheel represents compounding. One turn of this wheel moves you much further than the small wheel ever could. This is the mystery of the flywheel. In DeFi, this is where your liquidity pool begins generating. Trading fees, RFLR, WFLR. This is the engine. And you put something in, you get some rewards, and then you put it back in, and etc., etc. So this brings us to the pedal. So let's look at the pedal now. So the pedal, we could platforms we can use as an example of the pedal of this penny farthing bicycle would be like the Blaze Swap, FTSO, because it moves the wheel, basically. So every FTSO reward is a pedal rotation, a tiny push forward. But when these pushes repeat, the wheel starts spinning faster. And then you have the downhill push. And this could be maybe your Bifrost delegation. Again, you can look at the diagram and see the labels. And this is the extra help, the momentum boost, you know. The delegation rewards are like gravity pulling you forward. You are no longer doing all the work. The system begins helping you. And this is all to do with positioning, because you've started at a time when it wasn't so this, it hadn't become so mature, you know. So in a little bit, the system begins to help you. You do that initial little effort. You do that initial work, the effort that you put in, and then later on, in comparison, it turns out that actually that work that you did in the beginning is actually small compared to the benefits you get later on, or rather compared to the big engine, what the engine is doing starts to do later on, the wheel and the bicycle movement and all of that. You realize that actually that initial push you started with, it was just so tiny. And this is one wonderful thing that the Lord really wants us to benefit from. And honestly, I had an aha moment personally when I got this understanding. Um, anyway, the cycle feeds itself, is the point here. This is where the prophetic revelation becomes clear, you know. And like I said, for me, it was such a moment. As a matter of fact, can I say it? Can I just be transparent? It nearly brought me to tears, actually. It really did. Because I thought, wow, Lord, after how many weeks, I finally understood why you gave that picture. Imagine having prayer time and then you get a vision. You're praying about XRP. I was praying specifically about XRP. And then the Lord starts speaking to me about pool and XRP. And then I see a penny farthing bicycle. And I didn't understand it. And only recently I'm starting to understand it, to have understanding of this. And it was all coming at a time when I'm actually applying that prophetic word. You know, I'm actually doing this stuff. I'm going to these platforms, connecting my wallet, you know, downloading the wallet and doing the tutorial with Kelly. I did the tutorial with Kelly some weeks ago, followed her step by step. And then since then on, I've been, you know, doing my due diligence to learn this stuff, you know. And it's amazing how God really meets us when we put that step. How does the word go? You put baby step, he puts giant father step. You put another baby step, he puts a giant father step. But you know, obedience really is the key. It's amazing. So tiny rewards reinvested become huge growth. This is why the Lord showed the penny farthing. Honestly, this is a picture of a system where small effort creates this proportionate movement, which becomes unstoppable momentum for those who start early. And this is the DeFi flywheel. The points, one of the big points being to start early. There's a major thing there because in that prophetic vision and revelation I was given, I understood that there was something to do with timing. There's a timing element to this whole thing. So those who start early is quite important. So you have the full loop. Again, looking at the diagram, you can see the full loop. That's from 1 to 5 inside the big wheel, you know. So inside that big wheel, the entire cycle, it's you have you deposit, the LP produces reward, you reinvest it, you mint more FXRP, the cycle repeats stronger each time. Every loop makes the wheel spin faster. You know, it starts spinning faster and faster and faster until what started small becomes something big. So there you have it, guys. So in closing, I just want to say that ultimately this is why early obedience matters. This is why this word, if if you don't quite, if it's not quite sitting with you, I want to encourage you to spend time and seek the Lord about it, because this is a word from the Lord. This is a prophetic word to the body of church, to the body of Christ, for the in preparation for the coming days, for the financial systems of this world, and XRP, and how the Lord wants us to be prepared and positioned. This really is a word from the Lord. So I want to encourage you to really look into it and share it with people and have discussions about it. Please don't fold your hands and leave it at that. Just, I really want to encourage you to go forward and do something with it. And if it doesn't sit well, I'll say it one more time, seek the Lord and try and get some, do some homework, get an understanding of it, so it doesn't go over your head, you know. Um, this is all why the Lord highlighted liquidity pool in that vision. I never knew anything about liquidity pool. And in the vision, he was talking to me about pool and network, you know. And yeah, so don't despise small beginnings. There's a scripture about that. Do not despise the days of small beginnings. It's a similar thing. Don't despise the small wheel, because it is the gateway to the big one. Your flywheel doesn't start strong. It may not start strong, but it becomes strong. And once it turns, it keeps turning. So, everybody, I just want to say thank you so much for listening to this video. I'll hope to see you guys showing my face in another video soon. Have a good evening or a good morning whenever you get to watch this video. All right, guys. Take care now. God bless you. Bye, everybody. Bye.